The Vietnamese War is one of the longest wars in the 20th century. This all starts off when the French had taken over Vietnam because they wanted valuable exports and were looking for resources. They were very unfair with the Vietnamese, and every time the French were becoming richer while the Vietnamese were poor and lost a lot of lands. Nationalist movements started to merge in the country, demanding more self-governance and less French influence. This was where a communist leader called Ho Chi Minh founded the Viet Minh in 1941. The Viet Minh was a league of independence resisting the French colonial rule over Vietnam. It was practically a communist-led organization whose forces fought against the Japanese and especially against the French in Indochina. Indochina was made up of countries like Tonkin, Laos, Cambodia, and of course Vietnam. The war broke out in 1946, and by this time the US was already getting involved, stating that Vietnam should not become communist. They were sort of against it because of the domino theory, which stated that if Vietnam became communist, then the movement would then spread to other countries close to them, then all Indochina, and then making up the rest of Asia communist. In 1954, the Viet Minh won a lot of victories in the north, making the French sign a so-called peace treaty, where the North would become communist and the South would become anti-communist, where they would be supported by the US. Many American citizens started to protest around because a lot of people were dying in Vietnam and they didn't believe it was their war. The US President Richard Nixon promised to end the war, but he didn't manage to do so until 1973.